Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Deep Dive. Our mission is pretty straightforward. We take the biggest front page stories from the Seoul Economic Daily and break them down, explain them simply so you get informed quickly and thoroughly.
And today, we've got quite a mix. We're looking at four key areas where, frankly, policy and reality seem to be clashing head-on. First, this record surge in Seoul real estate happening despite massive regulations. It's a real paradox.
Hmm.
Then, President Lee's cautious signals on trade and alliances putting national interest first. We'll also touch on how traditional wealth, family offices are moving into the digital asset market. That's an interesting trend.
Definitely.
And finally, China's new long-term economic plan focusing on tech self-reliance out to 2035. So quite a bit to unpack.
Okay, let's start with that domestic shocker, the real estate market. The government rolled out these pretty heavy measures on October 15th, right? Designating basically all of Seoul, plus 12 areas in Gyeonggi, as regulation zones. They restricted loans, even banned gap investments. The intention was clearly to cool things down.
Right, cool things down. But the market reaction was, well, the complete opposite. You could almost call it a backlash.
It's more than just unexpected. The numbers are kind of staggering.
They really are. So get this. In the week right after that announcement, around October 20th, Seoul apartment prices jumped 0.50%. Week over week.
Wow.
And that's the highest weekly increase since the Korea Real Estate Board even started tracking this stuff back in January 2013. So the attempt to hit the brakes actually slammed the accelerator.
Hitting it with a barrage of regulations and prices still shoot up, that feels like more than just misjudging demand. What's the analysis on the ground? How are experts explaining this?
Well, analysts like Yoon Sumin, who's a real estate specialist at NH Nong-up Bank, they're pointing to something called last chance demand.
Last chance.
Yeah, the idea is that buyers saw these incredibly strict regulations coming down the pipe and basically panicked. They thought, this might be it. If I don't buy now, the opportunity for home ownership or even investment might just disappear forever.
Ah, okay. So it's fear driving it.
Exactly. That fear, combined with maybe a deep-seated desire for real estate assets in Korean society and perhaps some skepticism about policy effectiveness, it just created this rush. A panic buy before the rules fully locked in. The cooling measure became, ironically, a catalyst for overheating.
And you can really see the scale of that panic when you look at specific districts.
Absolutely. Gwangjin-gu saw a 1.29% jump. That's huge for a week.
Yeah.
Samdong-gu was 1.25%, Gangdong-gu 1.12%. Just unprecedented surges.
And other major areas like Yangchun-gu, Songpa-gu, Mapo-gu, they weren't far behind, all around 0.9% increases.
That's right. So inevitably, this led to political pressure. Public sentiment soured significantly. Now the government and the ruling party are actually reconsidering things. One idea being floated is maybe abolishing or adjusting the real estate statistics themselves, arguing they cause market overreaction.
Changing the measurement instead of the market.
Well, maybe. But the really significant signal here, the one we should probably watch closely, is about boosting supply.
What kind of signal?
They've hinted at possibly getting rid of, or at least easing, the Rebuilding Excess Profit Recapture System, the JECO-1.
Ah, the tax on profits from reconstruction projects.
Exactly. That system was designed to curb speculative gains, redistribute some of that wealth generated by rebuilding. But if the government is now talking about easing or abolishing it, that signals a major shift. It suggests they might be prioritizing increasing housing supply through reconstruction over market stability or wealth redistribution, at least for now. It's potentially a big pivot, almost reversing course on some prior policies.
So the sheer force of the market is pushing policy in a new direction. That domestic pressure makes President Lee's caution in his recent CNN interview perhaps more understandable. He's navigating a tricky spot at home.
It certainly seems that way. His diplomatic tone was very much about completeness based on national interest. He specifically said tariff negotiations between the U.S. and Korea would take more time.
Implying speed isn't the priority.
Right. It suggests they're focused on getting the details right for Korea, not just rushing to an agreement. And he emphasized the alliance is grounded in common sense and rationality.
He also seemed quite open regarding North Korea. Expressed full support for a potential U.S.-North Korea summit, even a sudden one, calling dialogue the essential starting point.
Yes, that was notable. But perhaps the most telling part was his response about China. He really pushed back against labeling China as simply friend or foe.
How did he put it?
He described international relationships as complex, something you can't just cut cleanly like with a knife. It acknowledges the difficult balancing act Korea faces, the security alliance with the U.S. versus the deep economic ties with China. It's a very careful, nuanced diplomatic stance.
And these high-level talks are ongoing, right? There was that recent 2-hour meeting in Washington.
That's right. Chief of Staff Kim Young-beom and Trade Minister Kim Jong-won met with U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Rutledge. Reports mention some progress on outstanding issues.
Okay, speaking of Commerce Secretary Rutledge, that actually connects to another interesting shift happening in global finance.
Yes. You're talking about the move by family offices, these traditional managers of huge private fortunes, into the cryptocurrency space.
Exactly. It feels like a significant step, digital assets moving beyond speculation into the realm of long-term, intergenerational wealth management.
It really does. And it's significant that someone like Richard Wu, who's the managing director of digital assets at Cantor Fitzgerald, a major Wall Street investment bank, is openly recommending it.
What's his recommendation?
He's suggesting that family offices, or FOs, should think about allocating maybe 5 to 10% of their total assets to digital assets. His argument is that Bitcoin especially is now seen less as just speculation and more as a genuine long-term investment.
And FOs think long-term, generations even, not just quick profits.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Their goal is structuring wealth across generations. So when they start moving in, it adds a layer of legitimacy, suggesting crypto is being recognized more seriously as a store of value.
And we're seeing this play out in Korea, too, aren't we?
Yes, there's this Korean-listed company, BitPlanet. They're apparently working to raise about $100 million, roughly 140 billion won, specifically to buy Bitcoin. And guess who's advising them?
Cantor Fitzgerald.
Bingo. And BitPlanet expects about 30% of that funding to come from FOs in the U.S., Europe, and the Middle East.
Now let's connect the dots back to our earlier discussion. Cantor Fitzgerald. That name rings a bell.
It should. Remember U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Rutledge we mentioned? Cantor Fitzgerald is owned by his family.
Ah, okay, so there's a direct link between this major Wall Street player moving heavily into crypto and the current U.S. administration.
It seems that way. Cantor Fitzgerald is becoming quite influential in the crypto world. They even manage assets for Tether, the big stablecoin issuer.
Why is that connection so important?
Well, it's more than just business. You have a firm owned by the family of a key cabinet secretary actively legitimizing and channeling funds into crypto. This aligns pretty neatly with the Trump administration's generally pro-crypto stance. It suggests digital assets are getting woven into the core network of U.S. finance. So for a company like BitPlanet, getting advice from Cantor Fitzgerald isn't just about expertise. It could be seen as a strategic move to plug into that network and ride the wave of institutional adoption.
Fascinating. Okay, so we've covered the real estate puzzle, the careful diplomacy, the flow of old money into new assets. Let's wrap up with the bigger geopolitical picture. China's long-term economic strategy, fresh from their recent party meetings.
Right. The 20th Central Committee's fourth plenum laid out some ambitious goals looking ahead to 2035. The headline quantitative target is pretty bold. They're aiming for China's per capita GDP to reach the level of a moderately developed country by 2035. That's generally seen as crossing the threshold into developed nation status. It signals a shift towards quality of life and domestic consumption, not just overall GDP size.
And what's the immediate game plan? The next 5-year plan, running from 2026 to 2030.
The focus there seems like a direct response to the ongoing tensions with the U.S., particularly around trade and technology.
So self-reliance.
Exactly. The top priorities for the 15 5-year plan are explicitly stated as technological self-reliance, Jishu Zili, and strengthening national security. It's all about building resilience against external pressures.
And how are they planning to achieve that?
The policy guidelines emphasize things like high-quality development, deepening comprehensive reform, and finding an effective balance between the market and a capable government. To make this happen, they also made some leadership changes, replacing 11 Central Committee members and appointing Jang Sung-min to a key military commission role. It's about aligning the leadership with these long-term strategic goals.
Okay, so today we've covered the paradox of real estate regulation in Seoul, President Lee's diplomatic stance, the emerging trends in finance with digital assets, and China's economic policy direction towards 2035. We'll be back again soon with more breaking news and analysis. Until then, this has been The Deep Dive from the Seoul Economic Daily. Thank you for listening.